Hey, what's up guys? Attack on Titan chapter 109 is right around the corner. So, what's gonna happen in the next chapter? Jesus Christ, who the fuck knows at this point? But as long as there's no more poop torture, I'm fine with it. Anyway, before we get started, I want to make sure you guys know that these videos are going to contain spoilers. So if you haven't read the latest chapter, then what are you doing with your life? Just saying, if you don't want spoilers, you might want to click on something else. If you're all caught up though, then let's get to it. Alright, so, first thing. Now I know we've all talked about this to death, so I'm just gonna get this out of the way. We all know Historia is pregnant. I've already made a couple videos about this, but real quick, my official prediction is this. While I do think there is a very real possibility that Historia's pregnancy is some kind of cover-up and the explanation for the father is not actually true, this is one rare point in this manga where I think this is actually not a misdirection. If it is a cover-up, I think the most likely person to be the real father, as I said before, is someone from the Azumabito clan. Why would they do that? Well, I'm guessing it would be in order to solidify an alliance with Paradis, but perhaps they decided to hide it because they wanted to risk whatever backlash that might come of it. However, I still think that the farmer guy is actually the father. And the real important question is, why exactly would Historia want to keep Zeke alive in the first place? What exactly could have convinced her to do this? We know that Historia has always had this martyrdom complex, and while she seemed to kind of grow out of it, as we will soon see in Season 3, old habits do die hard. So if Yelena or someone else threatened the lives of her friends, I think Historia would obviously feel an obligation to save them, no matter what she had to sacrifice. Even though she already agreed to have an heir, I don't think this is exactly how she expected it to happen. Obviously, it wasn't what the military police expected. A popular theory seems to be that the hooded figure in the panel where Historia is talking to the farmer guy is actually Eren, not Yelena. This seems unlikely that Eren would be involved, as he was so adamant about Historia not being put in this position. However, as I said in my previous video about this, that secret conversation he apparently had with Zeke could have changed things, but I guess we'll see. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, the next thing I want to talk about is this conversation we're hopefully going to get to see in the next chapter. In the previous chapter, Armin suggested that they talk to Eren, him and Mikasa, just the three of them. I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to seeing this conversation. This is going to be a really emotional discussion. We're finally, for the first time in a while, going to see our trio sit down and talk about everything that's happened. Get all their thoughts, feelings, hopes, and fears out on the table. Shit, man. What's gonna happen? Well, it's hard to say, but I have the feeling that Armin and Mikasa are going to end up walking away from this conversation even more conflicted than before. I have a feeling that Eren, in the state that he's in, is going to be completely emotionally unavailable to them. I can imagine Eren speaking with them in a similar way he did to Hanji. Cold, angry, with wide-eyed determination. Perhaps even get even more upset because the people he would be talking to he cares about even more. Unfortunately, we really aren't certain how mentally or emotionally stable Eren is, so there's no telling exactly what he'll do. But let's not forget, he let Hanji know that he could get out of that cell whenever he damn well pleases. So I'm worried that whatever our trio talks about, it might trigger Eren to actually do that. In that case, what would happen then? Would he try to run away, or just go nuts? Would Armin have to Titanize and try to control him or catch him? And what would Mikasa do if that happened? Run off with Eren or stay behind? Next on the list is Niccolo and that bottle of wine. When I first saw these two panels, my immediate thought was that the bottle was poisoned, but you guys had a really interesting idea, that the wine is actually spiked with Titan spinal fluid. I'm not sure how Niccolo would have gotten a hold of any. I'm guessing he somehow managed to get some from the serums that Yelena brought, as getting any from Zeke would be nearly impossible. However, if this is the case, that would be one hell of a surprise, and would probably mark the beginning of some kind of retaliation or rebellion from the Marleyan POWs, especially after the attack and the arrest of Yelena and the other defectors. Things obviously aren't looking very good for the Marleyans on Paradis now, and they're probably pretty pissed that Eren went and attacked Marley. Although I doubt and hope that if this happens, it's not until our trio have that conversation. But knowing Attack on Titan, it might just happen during their talk, which would force our trio, despite their differences, to defend their home together. Now let's touch on Mikasa for a moment. In the last chapter, Jean said Mikasa had plans with Hizudu. What those are, we have yet to find out. So what might those plans be? Well, we know Hizudu wants Paradis's resources, though I don't know why Mikasa would be involved in that specifically, but she could be. Another possibility is that Mikasa will choose to take her place as part of the Azumabito royalty, perhaps even go back to Hizudu to take on some kind of leadership role. Although it's really hard to see Mikasa leaving Paradis and everyone she knows behind. But something's gonna have to come of this plot point. So would she do that? Could she even do that? Also, could there be a possibility that Mikasa will also produce an heir for the Azumabitos? Historia made the point of mentioning a couple chapters back that she and Mikasa had a lot in common now, which suggests to me that they may be in store for similar fates. Alright, next, let's talk about Reiner. As we saw in the last chapter, Reiner is determined to attack Paradis as soon as possible. He doesn't want to wait for the Alliance to be ready. He wants to launch a surprise attack because he feels Zeke would not be expecting that. Now, we still don't know if Reiner's mom made it out of the festival alive, but we do know that Reiner lost Gabby and her friends. Udo and Sophia died in the attack, and Gabby and Falco are off running around Titan Island somewhere. I already talked about Gabby and Falco in my last video, so I won't repeat all that here. But I am definitely on board with the idea that this is likely to be the girl Sasha saved years ago, and I am really looking forward to see what's gonna happen. But anyway, back to Reiner. We know that these kids meant a lot to Reiner. We saw evidence of this in the scene when Reiner was at the end of his rope and about to blow his brains out. It was hearing Falco's voice outside of his window that stopped him, reminding him of the pain his death would cause those kids, and also the fact that they kind of needed him in this crazy, backwards world that they live in. We also saw this in the scene right before the festival attack went down. Reiner joined the kids as they ran around all the different stalls, buying them all manner of food until they were all stuffed and he was totally broke. I mean, I imagine Reiner wanted to give them as much opportunity to feel joy as possible, as he knows all too well how bleak their futures are going to be. So we all know that Reiner is a good guy with a big heart, and he also, at least at some point, cared about the people on Paradis. But after the attack, I imagine Reiner is going to start on a path similar to Eren's, more focused on protecting himself and his own, rather than tormenting himself with thoughts of how unjust the world is. On another note, I'm going to guess that Magath was likely convinced by Reiner to go ahead with a sneak attack on Paradis, because plot. So I'm thinking that sometime in the next few chapters, we are going to get to see a counterattack on Paradis by Marley. What's going to happen in that attack? Everyone's going to die. Probably. No, but I imagine a lot of people will lose their lives in the attack, just like in Marley. The question is, will Paradis catch on to the attack before it happens and be able to mitigate the damage, or will they be taken totally off guard? Well, I think it's safe to say that they won't be as surprised as they were the last couple times. And now that the Titans are gone, I'm sure they've got people keeping an eye on the beaches. Trouble is, Paradis is now missing its first line of defense against Marley, which was so dangerous they didn't even dare approach the island. But I guess that now that airplanes are a thing in this world, it doesn't really matter anymore. And lastly, what happened to Yelena and the Marleyan defectors? Did they throw them all in prison? Back into the camps? What even was the purpose of holding them at gunpoint in the first place? I'm still not quite sure what exactly happened. But it looks like Pixis decided to take matters into his own hands while the Survey Corps were away. Lots of confusing shit going on. Not that that's anything new in Attack on Titan, but anyway, I'm still pretty certain that at some point Zeke and Eren are gonna meet up and use the coordinate. What exactly is going to happen? Well, that's all up to Eren. And I have a feeling that we're gonna have a little bit better idea after the next chapter. But anyway, that's it for my Chapter 109 predictions. Tell me what you think is gonna happen in the next chapter in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, comment, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and check out my Patreon if you want to help support this channel. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.